Hello and welcome back everyone to Master Game Design, Unreal Engine 5 Stylized Environment and third-person blueprint course. In the last lesson we left ourselves off with a nice area polished up and thought through with in regards to the design itself for the levels. So we talked a little bit in regards to how overall controls would work and where we need to block off certain paths and whatnot. We're going to come back in regards to blocking off the paths in a bit though. But first of all, we actually need to set ourselves up with certain props that we could make use out of to actually block these areas off. So how are we going to do it? Well, within content pack, you'll find yourself something called Egyptian Stylized prop. We're going to make use out of that. We already touched it a little bit in regards to this section here, if you remember. So we just made sure to just break off a little bit in regards to this area over here. Now we're going to actually make use out of it. I'm going to go ahead and save out the map first, and I'm going to just simply check the preview of this stylized section over here. So let's just go ahead and load that up and just see what kind of props we have that we're able to work with. So we just close this down. All right, we have some torch areas over here. We have some mazes. We have some crates. Crates are going to be important when we want to just set ourselves up with certain sections. We have this barrel over here, which actually has its own type of a placeholder if we want to make use out of it. We have some herbs and whatnot, some food that we're able to like put it on the table and whatnot. Certain meat as well, certain vegetables and whatnot. We're not going to use all of them, we're just going to use some in order to help us break up the surface. So actually we're going to go back onto the main level. I would consider this to be copied into the main level itself and just be able to just grab real quick the props that we want to make use out of and just use them like that. But I'm considering if it's worth it or not. We don't really need to do that because for the props, the meshes folder is quite easy to grasp to understand how it's set up, so we can just go ahead and probably make use out of this section over here. And yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Actually, we're going to go back onto our content browser, selecting the harbor map like so. We don't need to save this out, we didn't touch that anything in that area. I'm going to go off to the side onto the ocean where it's just flat, more or less as a surface, and I'm just going to start placing down the assets that I'm thinking of using. So Egypt stylized props. Let's go onto the meshes and let's start with these sacks over here. And actually I just realized the levels need to be within the harbor items. So for this we could either place the harbor items within this level over here, or if you're making a larger scene, a larger level, I recommend you to put all the props into a separate level. So for us to do that, we're going to go ahead and create new empty level like so. We're going to put it back into our landscape over here. So we're just going to call this one harbor props like so. We're going to go ahead and save it out, and now we're just going to be able to work with our own props and whatnot. So this way, if we want to, for example, hide it out, or we want to do like an flying over the scene and whatnot, we don't need to see all of the props and whatnot. And when we get closer, we'd be able to, for example, switch on the props and whatnot. For this particular case, it doesn't matter as much, but it's a nice practice to keep at in regards to the detail. So basically, larger props, you'd keep it always on, and smaller props, you'd enable it afterwards. And yeah, let's go ahead and just quickly grab some of the props. We're going to just place some of them over here. And I just realized I placed it very high up. So let me just go a little bit lower onto the grid itself. And now I placed it underneath the map, so that's not exactly what I want. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I'm going to just go above the water like so. And yeah, let me just go ahead and start placing it. I don't think, yes, it doesn't have a collision on this map, so I'm going to just quickly create a basic shape, simple plane like so. So we could actually start placing all of our items over here. And just going to move it to the side, to the section over here. Like so. Going to make it quite a bit bigger, just like that. And there we go, we got ourselves a playtest area. We're going to start with these bags over here. Just going to maybe put them one on top of each other, like so. The top seems like a dark patch. I'm just going to play around with the shapes a little bit, like so. And In essence, we want to create some variations for all of our assets. I'm going to grab this barrel and its base as well. I'm going to put it up to the side, bring this downwards, and then I'm also considering about turning off the grid, which I'll probably do. I'll set it up the grid to 1. I'll change the snapping mode to 5 as well. It's better to still make use out of it, but it's quite nice to have it turned down quite a bit. And now we can go ahead and start playing with all the barrels and all the assets that we have. So barrels, we'll need to have a bit of a section for that as well. And I'm just thinking in which way we can set this up. So for example, this barrel over here, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it onto the side and start setting up collections. Before we do anything, basically, we're going to be setting up Blueprint Collections, which will help us immensely in regards to making it look quite nice and authentic. Going to place this one on the ground. We're going to use this plane as a base, sort of a base for the placement. So it's going to be looking quite all right. Going to rotate this barrel a little bit so the top sections aren't going to be looking identical. And then we're just going to maybe grab another casket or something of the sort over here. I'm just looking at the variations that we have, so maybe I'll just grab this one over here, put it down like so, grab another casket. I wonder if they have maybe a basket or something of the sort. There you go, all the baskets, all the good stuff like that. I'm going to grab one over here, put it down like so. And I think there should be a bucket as well, so I'm just going to grab a nice bucket and just place one of them on the side as well, just like that. So maybe rotate them around a little bit, making sure they don't look quite as weird. And when we're working with prop collections, we got to make sure that it looks nice from multiple angles. So from this angle, it might look quite all right, but from this angle, it just looks quite plain. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to maybe copy this, duplicate it over to the side over here, just to help us break up the surface a little bit. Maybe I'll just put this a little bit more to the front, something like this, just to help us break off the surface. And maybe I'll just get another bucket over on this end as well, again, to help us break off the surface. So there you go, it looks quite a bit better from this angle as well. So this way we're able to make use out of this collection in multiple areas and just rotate them around and whatnot whenever we feel like. And this is one collection, so actually I'll show you how to set up the entire collection itself, and then we're going to work on making variants for them. So for us to do that, we're going to actually well, since I'm planning to use these same props, I'm going to go ahead and make a duplicate out of this. I'm going just to select all of these props like so. And the reason being is that I want to convert all of this to a blueprint. So I'm going to hold Alt, make a duplicate off to the side. And when we make a blueprint, I usually just make collections of all the assets, multiple variations, and then I convert them all one by one. But I'll just show you how to do the first one so we can work on all of them at once later down the line. I'm going to go ahead and select all of them just like so. I'm going to make sure that only them are selected. So I'm going to click F, and I just realized that the base, let's not forget the base. Select, click F, make sure that it's all of them selected. I'm going to click Ctrl Z, so they're just going to be placed in the same spot. Then at the very top left hand corner, we have a blueprint option over here. If we were to select it, we can select convert selection to the blueprint class, and we're going to make sure that it is set as harvest components. Otherwise, it's not going to work out quite as well. So once we have it selected like so, we can just keep the path default. By default, it should just put it in the same type of a folder, which is quite all right. And that's pretty much it. We're not going to touch anything else. We're going to go ahead and click select, and we're going to open ourselves up with a blueprint. So as you can see over here, all of the assets are now placed in a single blueprint, meaning that this one is just all of the blueprint parts, and you can see that all of them are placed nicely. The only downside of it though is that it places the gizmo in right in the middle, so we got to make sure we adjust that. And the way we're going to do it is, well, for starters, I'll show you that it's not the best thing to have, because if we were to drag it out again, it's going to give us this, and it's going to be partially placed in the ground. So when placing props real quick, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for us. So to make it easier for ourselves, we're just going to grab every single one of these assets like so. While holding Shift, I'm just going to select it all like so. Then I'm going to go into a front view like that, and we can see all of these meshes are above this green line. This green line is basically our Z axis being at 0. So I'm just going to drag it right above it, just like that. And I think that's going to be quite all right. Maybe there's 1 or 2 props that need to be raised up a little bit as well, depending on the placement that we had previously. But once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and hit compile. Now we're going to go close, and you can see that this is properly set up. The reason this is being raised up is because it kept up the same gizmo as it had before, but it basically raised everything up. So yeah, but once we are now placing it down on the ground, you can see how easy it is to place it, and we'll be doing that throughout our level as well. So it'll make it super nice and easy for us to do. And once you basically convert the entire collection, you're not going to be able to revert it back to a normal items like so. So that's why we made a copy out on the side, so we'll be able to just make some nice variations out of this selection. So yeah, that's going to be it from this video. I hope you were able to follow along with in regards to the collection setup. And now in the next lesson, we're actually going to make more variations basically, so it will look like just a simple duplicate of the same collection throughout the level. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the